It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome to St. Louis, Missouri. Freezing here, by the way, 29 degrees. It snowed a little bit. I come from you on the river. I have a great view right now of the Arch. St. Louis for the Tigers this week. Bills tonight, the two top 38 Ken Palm teams, and the women's soccer team upset the Billikens earlier in the week. And yesterday, for just the second time in program history, the first time in 17 years, the NCAA tournament in soccer. And guess where they're coming to play Thursday? Right back here in St. Louis. Tonight should be a lot of fun. We'll get into that a little bit later. Mike DeCourcy will be here to talk about all the craziness that has gone on in college basketball thus far. The seven that still remain with us can now rest easy because there won't be an undefeated NFL team. We're going to talk football with Jeff Moore in a little bit. The Eagles undid themselves. They had 3 turnovers all year until last night, where they had 4, one of which probably a very flagrant face mask. But anyway, cost them against Washington. The Commanders a winner. And so the Eagles no longer are undefeated. The Dolphins remain the only team to have ever pulled off that feat. That in just a little bit. There is a major announcement that is going on right now as we speak in the mayor's office. And to the best of my knowledge, and I know the Daily Memphian already had a little bit of a story on it. Memphis showboats are coming back. The USFL will have not just one team, but I think 2 teams that will play in Memphis. Remember last year, the USFL, and let's really put the cards on the table here. Doesn't matter how many people come to these games. Fox and NBC are looking for television programming. And believe it or not, the USFL did a decent number last year with their product in Birmingham. So they've now decided they're going to go to 3 different cities. They're calling them hub cities. The teams are moving from Tampa, and they are taking the name Showboats. I imagine it'll be the same uniforms, which were kind of cool, really. So, and the best name ever for cheerleaders called the Dreamboats. But so the USFL's Showboats, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, as will, I believe, the Houston Gamblers. So we're going to be called a hub city. There's 3 of them. Birmingham will remain a city that will have multiple teams. Memphis will be a city with multiple teams, and I believe it's going to be Memphis and Houston. And then I think some fellow is having a simultaneous press conference with the mayor. This is going on in the mayor's office right now.
Right now, they got a new.
I believe Fred's.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dave. They got a new logo. The ship looks like it's moving way faster this time. So that's really the only change, it seems like to me, is the new riverboat is moving a little faster through the water. So it's a new logo. It's kind of Grizzly logos, blue and yellow. So should be a lot of fun.
So it's not red and silver?
It's not. It's the new Grizzlies colors. So we got a Memphis theme going on here now.
Oh, my gosh. That's blasphemy. I'm already upset. I don't mind the Showboats. It was one of the funnest times of my entire professional career. Loved it. People still call me Boat because I was involved with the director of broadcasting for the Showboats. Loved that team. Loved colors. Now I'm upset. They're stealing the Grizzlies colors?
Well, it's a little
crazy.
It's a little different shade of blue, a little more royal blue, I guess, is if I was describing it for a listening audience, and then the yellow is like your classic Grizzlies yellow. So yeah, a little bit Grizzlies colors.
So what other news is to my understanding, Fred Smith is speaking at this press conference, and he has some sort of involvement. Anytime Fred Smith's involved, it's got a great chance of being a success.
I can't tell who it is on stage officially. I wish I could know who that was, but it's somebody is on stage doing a press conference right now. I'm assuming it'll be followed, like you said, by Fred Smith and other people talking after him. So I'll keep looking at it and see what I can find.
All right. I know that Jonathan Mitchell, the general manager of WMC Action News 5, is involved in this process. I believe Jarvis Greer is the MC of this event today. This is all about providing content for TV because they did so well. In fact, if the plans go as Mayor Strickland hopes, half that stadium will be worked on. So for the beginning of this process, there'll only be half a stadium, but they really won't mind it because it's, again, a television product. In Birmingham, I believe the Stallions, when they played, because they were Birmingham's team, they actually drew a decent. That number is, it didn't fill. It started, I think, at Legion Stadium. No, maybe it was the new stadium. It doesn't matter. It drew a few for their games, nobody for other games. You remember they really tried to hide it, and they'll probably do the same thing here, hide the empty seats the best way that they can. I suspect for Showboat does become the community's team, then they'll show up for that. Will they show up for the Houston Gamblers games? I don't know. But they'll be on TV. That is for sure. I think they are going to announce who the coach is, too. I was not privy to that. Are we getting any of that information, J-Mo?
I don't have who the coach is yet. The only information I've seen as I've been updating Twitter frantically is the new logo. So I will let you know if I find out.
Okay. So that's basically the. I don't know if the mayor will discuss any further about financing and all of his plans for the renovation of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, or for that matter, FedEx Forum.
Dave, I found out.
For that matter, the new 901 FC Stadium.
I found out who's talking. It's Executive Vice President of the USFL, Daryl Johnson. He's the first one to take the stage. So I'm sure everyone you mentioned is probably going to take the stage after him.
Okay. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Big news today. There is going to be spring football starting, I think, this coming March. So as the basketball season winds down in Memphis, there will be a new spring football team. There will also obviously be 901 FC, and I'm hearing, a little birdie told me, it appears that Ben Pierman, and this is sad to me, who did just the most amazing job as the 901 FC coach, that Ben Pierman may be on his way to another year, and he's parlaying that into maybe some other opportunity. We'll try to get Ben on at some point here in the near future. So I guess really the only other major news of this morning is that it comes from, and that is that the Joker, Novak Djokovic, is going to be able to play in the Australian Open in a couple of months. The government has changed in Australia. The immigration minister has waived what could have been a 3-year exclusion for Novak because he did not get the COVID vaccine. He is not going to get the COVID vaccine, but the rules have changed since July. There's no longer a need of proof of vaccination to get into Australia, so Djokovic will have a chance to become the biggest in the history of the sport. Other news that did come out yesterday, sad news for the Tigers. It appears now that Brandon Thomas, who had been their starting running back, is now out for the rest of the year with an. So this is the second year in a row that Brandon has been unable to complete the season because of some form of injury. He had 270 yards on 76 carries, but he was the blue-collar guy. When they were trying to score in the red zone, he would come in. He had 9 touchdowns, so that was pretty formidable. But he never had the kind of success that we thought we would see from the beginning of last year. Remember the game he had against Mississippi State and appeared to be on his way. Then he got injured there. He had a little trouble with holding on the ball. He fixed that. That's for him because they put him in scoring situations. But he's out. That means now you've got two backs that you'll depend on. Javon Ducker, who I think has been a solid back, has not had that many carries. And then you'll have Asa Martin, who I think has had a really good final year. He's the best pass catcher out of the backfield. And there's Sutton Smith. Now, Sutton Smith, I don't know if it was flu or injury. He was unable to go last week. Will he be able to be now the third back? It's a good thing they had depth at running back because now your bread and butter is gone. Drew would be really in the mix, quit the team early in the year. So now you're hoping Sutton Smith can come back, and that would give you a three-headed monster, and that's the way the Tigers have had the run game the whole year. It was addressed yesterday in the press conference by head coach Ryan Silverfield. I basically asked, well, such a chore this year to run the football. That was top of the list, had to be fixed at the beginning of the year. And he's been asked many times about it. So I said, what is the sole reason here? Is it the running backs? Is it the line schemes? Is it the offensive personnel in the line? Of all those things. It's a combination of receivers not blocking. It's a combination of the tight end not coming at the proper angle on occasions. So last week they faced one of the worst defensive running teams in the country and could get only 79 yards. Now you've lost your best guy, but Alabama on Saturday is going to be that big a chore. And the good news, honestly, about that is the Tigers are going to be overwhelming favorites. If they win, they get postseason play. And a lot of people, I saw a whole big story on all the speculation. There's 4 or 5 opportunities. Personally, I'd love to go to Fenway. We'll see if that is the case. Usually, the Americans going to pick what they think are your best chances to do battle with a Power 5 school, and that's Fenway takes on an ACC team. So I really don't believe Memphis will end up at Fenway. But I do think they're going to get bowl eligible on Saturday against North Alabama. Not North Alabama, just a bit of caution here. North Alabama has a heck of an offense. They're one of the top 25 teams in the country, and they've got a running back who's had over 1,500 yards. But it's also a team that has lost its way a little bit. They fired their coach kept them in games. I think most of their losses, or maybe every one of them, have been by one possession. So, but they've lost 8 in a row. So we'll see what happens. Saturday, Memphis should be going bowling. I'll let you know. We've moved the Family Leisure Studios up north of the Mississippi, which I'm looking at. Right by the Arch. That's where we are, but you need to get to I-40 and Whidden Road because that's where you'll find the Relax at Home sale with great deals on theater seating, with a great deal on a massage chair. If you've never been in one of those massage chairs, you really need to check that out because I think you will find that, yeah, you're sitting there. I really, it was doing my foot. I couldn't believe how cool they are. So that's on sale right now. They've also got sales on games for family and friends that come over for the holidays. You can get a pool table. They're all state-of-the-art. Don't forget, there's shuffleboard. There's air hockey. They got the latest. They got the home sale still going on at I-40 and Whidden Road. Family leisure, where family and fun and the sale all come together. And don't ever forget, because I'm so proud, that Homer Skelton Hyundai is our presenting and title sponsor. Homer Skelton Hyundai, where they're always having a deal of some kind, and there's financing right now. Get a brand new Hyundai Santa Fe or Tucson or Veloster or Elantra, any new Hyundai. Buy it now. Don't worry about paying for 90 days. You pick it up, drive it out, and the first payment is due basically 3 months once you take it off the lot. Nobody does it. Right at the corner of Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi off Highway 78. Go see my friend Chris True at Homer Skelton Hyundai. So let's take just a quick look at what we expect today from the Tigers and the Billikens. Should be really a good game. things here. And J-Mo, have you ever seen Yuri Collins?
I don't believe I have.
So Yuri Collins is a guy that was the leader in assists in the country last year, but he's a little guy, 6 feet, 190, a junior. He's all conference in the A10, and he's a guy that so far this year, 27 assists, 5 turnovers. So basically, he's a 5-to-1 guy. He's been the whole way. He, again, Lomax are going to be worth the price of admission tonight. They got 2 other big guards that kind of worry you because Lomax is not a big guy, but he is a terrific defender. So the guard play there, I think one of the other things is Malcolm Dandridge. They've got a 6'9" player who's third-team all-conference. They got a transfer that comes in off the bench that we've seen before. He went to Temple. He started at Indiana. His name's Jake Forrester. He's bulky at 6'9". Those are the guys that Malcolm Dandridge is going to have to do battle with. Malcolm is a guy that came in as a 4-star. Malcolm has been a guy that really got injured in high school, has shown flashes to Memphis, including against Gonzaga, but he's never really been consistent with it. He says he's healthier than he's ever been. He told the media this week he is one of the first guys in. He's one of the last guys, but treatment of the knee and everything else, that he's much more serious and more sure about the approach. If the Tigers are to be successful this year and really in this game, I think Malcolm Dandridge has to deliver. You know DeAndre Williams will. I think Malcolm Dandridge has to deliver. By the way, the signing yesterday that we did on all these new signees with or commitments, only 3 so far of the 6 or 7 commits that you think you're going to get have signed on the bottom line. And tomorrow, J-Mo, double check this, but I believe tomorrow period. So if the Mikey Williams and the J.J. Taylors are to sign in the early period, which they committed to, it has to be either done today or it's got to be done by tomorrow. Is that accurate?
You got 2 more days. November 17th is the last. Oh, I'm sorry. That's for last year's signing period. So this year you might be right. It looks like it ends November 16th. That's right. So tomorrow's the last day.
Yeah. So you got today and basically tomorrow. We'll see. I think it's going to be a great game tonight. I really do. And then the final question on this one will be, can the Tigers hit from 3-point range? Because Travis Ford is a pretty. He's won 114 games in 7 years at St. Louis. He's won 450 games total. And his whole career started at Campbellsville. You know where Campbellsville is? It's got to be Kentucky, right?
Somewhere out east, I think. Yeah, maybe Kentucky, further east than that even, maybe.
Then to UMass, he knocked them dead every place he went. The only place, he stayed a few years, but his last couple of years at Oklahoma State were bummers. So he got kind of let go, but he went to St. Louis right away, and he's been really good there. He is a sharp guy. And I promise you he will throw a zone defense at the University of Memphis. Why wouldn't you? If you were the opposition. The Tigers, although they've gotten a little better shooting each time, but they shot 26% against Vanderbilt. And this, by the way, is the craziest year for college basketball. Can't wait to talk about that with Mike DeCourcy in our last segment. Coming up, though, in just a minute, we will on the National Football League, a whole week's worth of football in the books, as we always put the week to rest with Jeff. This portion of our show brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. And a reminder, they like to... Prices are going to go up because of new government regulations on HVACs. Your cooling systems, prices going up. Conway wants to help you beat that increase by replacing that old inefficient system with a new energy efficient system. And if you get that, throw in a furnace for free. They'll also give you a free Nest thermostat, which is the latest and greatest. You can control it with your phone. I mean, technology today. And the latest is there for you. They'll give you the thermostat. They'll give you a heater. If you buy a new HVAC system, all you got to do is call 901-384-50. premier cooling and heating place to go. That's Conway. We will chat with Jeff Moore on the National Football League in just a minute.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town. Grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, $2.25. Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
Halloween is over, but hiring is still a bit scary. Indeed's end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
It's the year-end sales event at Gossett Mitsubishi, and have we got a deal for you? Get power, safety, and bold style with 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport, $329 a month or $25,345. And take your pick at Gossett Mitsubishi, 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander or 2023 Eclipse Cross. We Gossett at $379 a month, or you'll find 1.9 for 36 months available. And if you're looking for peace of mind in your new ride, get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Shop Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online anytime at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett at Gossett Motor Cars.
Sport 75 months at 5.44 APR. Outlander and Eclipse 72 months at 4.90. All 500 military rebates. Sport NU 020 537. MSRP 26095. Outlander PC 009630. MSRP 296. Eclipse PC 006400. MSRP 28785. Includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 11/30/22. Dealer stock only.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Jeff Moore on the NFL in a minute. He's brought to you by the good folks at AmeriCare. If you've got an elderly loved one in your family that you want to take care of, let me recommend these 3 places that come from AmeriCare, all in the Memphis area. South Breeze, that's on Hacks Cross. It's Schilling Gardens in Collierville. In Olive Branch, it's Olive Grove Terrace. These are just wonderful places. They're home. They make assisted living and memory care places feel like home. They're smaller. They're more intimate. And they understand that it's beyond just exercise and eating right for older folks to really enjoy those golden years. They understand it's making a place feel like home, more intimate, where you feel like it's good company at mealtimes. And they've got programs for you. Like if you've got a trouble with balance, you're worrying about falling and breaking a hip, they actually have programs designed to help reduce the risk of falling. They maintain your health. They set a course for aging well and, of course, living happier. It's home at AmeriCare's places in Memphis, South Breeze, Schilling Gardens, and Olive Grove Terrace. We welcome once again our friend, former NFLer and Tennessee Volunteer, that is Jeff Moore. And Jeff Moore, the 72 Dolphins can now rest easy because there's not going to be an undefeated team. Last night, Eagles turnovers cost them the game for sure, and the Commanders actually took them from the unbeaten ranks. Let me start with this. There's only one team ever to do it. We've had great teams. The New England Patriots flirted with it for a while. A couple of years ago, they lost in the playoffs. Why is it so hard to run the table? Is there just that much parity?
I think parity is really a big part of it. And then the other thing, too, is continuity. I think, those Miami Dolphin teams, those same players played together for at least a few years, and you don't see the kind of movement of major players or critical players to your team. You didn't see that kind of movement back then, and players move around a little bit more now. So I think it's just a combination of there's so much more parity, and I think just the fact that you get familiar with your coaches, your teams, your offensive, defensive coordinators. All those guys kind of are on the same page for a number of years, and you got to have that to have an undefeated season. I don't know that we'll ever see it again. I think the Patriots team was probably the closest thing to a super team. And, of course, the Giants pulled that big upset. And since then, we just have not seen a team dominate through the regular season and the playoffs the way that team did.
You know what? The other team that I really thought would do it was the 85 Bears, the best defense I've ever seen. That team with Walter Payton on offense and Jim McMahon, that team beat everybody, and they beat them in an incredible way, with the exception of a team that wasn't that good at the time, and it was the Miami Dolphins. So the Dolphins saved their predecessors, which really, to me, is the height of irony, especially if you are a Chicago Bear fan. We had craziest game of the year, Buffalo and Minnesota. The Buffalo Bills found a way to lose a game. All of a sudden, Josh Allen appears to be a guy that is throwing red zone interceptions. He's not as good as he was earlier in the year. Have defenses figured out Josh Allen?
I don't think that's the case. I mean, I thought Josh Allen just played you take away those interceptions, especially in the last drive, to get in a position to score. I mean, this guy had played phenomenal, but if you look at the two picks he threw, in both instances, he did not see the defensive guy that ended up picking off those passes. So, I think what we're seeing to some extent is because he spends himself so much rushing the football that occasionally he'll drop back and he just does not pick up the reads the way he should. And he's throwing the guys that appear to be open, but he's not picking up the defensive guy. And in both instances, it wasn't like the defensive guy made a great play on the ball. He threw the ball right through to him because he didn't see him. And I think that running that he does, and he was just monstrous in that last drive, just takes away a little bit from his passing acumen when it comes to really watching what the defense is doing.
Well, and then what would you have done when they got that ball deep in their territory and he's in the end zone to start the play? He goes under center for a quarterback sneak and fumbles the football. What would you have done differently, if anything, in that position? And as tough as he is, it's hard for me to believe he coughed it up.
It's just a hard. I mean, the call was, I thought, a good call because you're so close to the end zone anyway that there's just not enough time to do a handoff. You've got to try to sneak it, give yourself a little bit of room, and then possibly do a running play. And it was just unfortunate that ball that he had to bobble with the football and didn't get the snap well. But I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do when you're backed up like that from a running standpoint. And certainly there's no room to throw.
Well, it's a perfect storm for Minnesota. So now they and Philadelphia are both one-loss teams. Which do you think is the better team? Is Minnesota really that good? Is some of it the competition other than Buffalo, whom they've played? Is Philly in a better division, a better team?
Boy, it's a good question. Minnesota showed me a lot the way they're a dome team. They go to Buffalo where it's freezing. They're on the road. They're playing in very adverse conditions. And then on a 4th and 18, Justin Jefferson makes an unbelievable catch. I mean, that team just showed a lot of grit, a lot of, I thought offensively, defensively, and just as a team, they really grew up a lot in that game and that win over Buffalo. I think that they're just slightly better. I mean, I never who I would have expected that the Eagles would lose to the Commanders the way they did, and the way that they did. I mean, the Commanders scoring 32 points on a Philadelphia defense that's been pretty good so far this year. So I like Minnesota. I think Minnesota right now has demonstrated that they're better and playing better against the better team.
Well, and then there's the Dolphins first in the AFC East. That actually may be the best of all of them. Buffalo is obviously a terrific team, and the worst team in there is probably New England. Are you shocked, like I am, that Tua and the Dolphins are now on top of that division?
I'm going to say I'm surprised. Not shocked. And the reason I'm not shocked is because Tua, for the 3rd week in a row, has thrown over 300 yards passing. His QBR, his rating has been exceptional. He's just playing out of his mind since he's come back. And, their defense has been respectable. So I'm surprised, especially with the way Buffalo has lost 2 games in a row to division opponents. I'm surprised by the fact that Buffalo is playing the way they're playing. But, I think Miami is just doing what they have to do, and Tua's just playing out of his mind, and it really helps. And the other thing that was interesting about this win for the Dolphins is Tua didn't have to rely on Waddle and their wide receivers, that Tyreek Hill and Waddle. He spread the ball around a little bit more than he's done in the past, and I just think that they're just playing so great offensively, and just as a team, they're really buying into that culture that their coach has created there, and it's creating W's for them.
I know we're only halfway through, literally, this season. But as you look at the top and you start to think about the playoffs, I mean, I think there's probably 6-7 teams that could win the Super Bowl. It's not like you're going to go, okay, that team is super. Like you might have thought about Buffalo, or you might have thought about somebody else. There's the Giants that have emerged this year. Tampa certainly is not the team that they were. Could you say with any certainty this team's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
I don't think there's a team you can say that about. I was very surprised to see the Cowboys go into Green Bay. And, with the kind of momentum that they've had and the way that their defense have been playing, for them to have a 14-point lead and then have to go to overtime and end up losing, they, I thought, were a team that was emerging and going to be more of a challenge for the Eagles. So NFC is wide open. The Tampa in their game looks like their offense is coming together. They had 3 drives over 80 yards. And Tom Brady looks like that team is starting to get on the same page. And you just never know as you get closer to the playoffs. We kind of thought Green Bay was falling off. We kind of thought Tampa was falling off. NFC is wide open, and we know the AFC is wide open. If I had to give it to anybody in the AFC right now, it would be Kansas City because of their experience in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's funny, the 2 old guys that looked like they were washed up, Brady and Rodgers, both looked good last week. Brady's 2-0 since the divorce became final. Maybe that's helped him a little bit. I want to go back to the Dallas-Green Bay game for a second. And the decision by Coach McCarthy not to take the points and to go for it in the overtime when he could have put pressure on Green Bay. He was at the Green Bay 35. Now it was into the wind, and that turns out to be a 52 or a 53-yard field goal. But he's got a good kicker, and he opted not to. They didn't get the first, and obviously the rest is history. But what would you have done there? Do you criticize the coach?
I hate to criticize a coach in that situation because there's just a whole lot of things that you have to factor into that decision. And one is the way that your defense is playing, and the other is the way that you feel like your offense is moving the football and kicking into the wind in a cold environment like that. You know, it's a high risk kick. So I want to say that I would kick it, but you know, under those circumstances, I do understand why he tried to go for it.
I'm with you. I think I would have kicked it. I said this yesterday. I would have tried to put pressure on Green Bay, and obviously, whether you get it or not, you're still going to get the ball at the same time at the same place, right? If you don't make it, which they did, and now there's no pressure, right? But in hindsight, you know, that's always 20/20. He probably should not have done that. There's news today out of the NFL, which is amazing to me. Their international success. That game in Germany, we talked about yesterday, where 77,000 people showed up. They're singing Country Roads. They're going crazy. They were there hours before the game. And so they got 5 international games this year. They've got 3 in London. They had the one in Munich last week. They got one in Mexico City. And news today that they're going to try and put games in Spain and in France. I didn't realize this. The Bears have the rights with some other team to marketing in Spain. Nobody's got marketing in France right now. Roger Goodell is really trying to make this international. And based on the audiences in London and in Munich, this is pretty wild. Do you think, because the World League of American Football in Europe failed the last time, but that was minor league football. Do you think someday we'll see a European NFL football team?
I don't. I think that this formula really works when you're just playing one game in a city like that, or in this instance, maybe 5 games overseas. But to have a team that's located in Europe and having to live with your players and coaches and what have you, living there throughout a season, I think that would probably have a little bit different result. The fact that they're just giving them a limited number of games is, I think, what contributes to the games being so popular when they do happen.
Yeah, and I don't know how the travel would work because I know that the Buccaneers, it took about 10 hours to get back. That and you may have jet lag. That puts you at a disadvantage if you're the team that has to travel to Europe, or just think about the European team having to travel for half their games. That part would be tough. It'd be great programming in the morning if you're in Europe for the NFL, but there are problems to it. And the other thing at this point, I mean, if you keep playing, there's 5 games this year. If you add to that, you know, you're literally taking away from your own fans. The Buccaneers lose a home game, it seems like, every other year because they're the ones that have been going overseas a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I think the way that they're doing it, just adding a game or two in different venues, the way they're doing it is the correct formula for now. I can't see a scenario where players and coaches would want to live in Europe to play a 17-game season plus a preseason.
Although, I'll tell you what, you put me in Barcelona or you put me in Paris, that's not a bad place to be for half the year. I can tell you that. Jeff Moore, as always, we truly appreciate your insight, and we'll do this again next Tuesday.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
That's our friend, Jeff Moore, former NFLer, former volunteer. And by the way, I meant to ask him, his Vols came back in a big way yesterday. We're going to talk some college hoops, including the Tigers and the Bills, with the Hall of Famer, Mike DeCourcy, in a minute. Let me let you know this portion of the show.
I got some breaking news.
Brought to you.
I got some breaking news for you before you do it. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but
no, I love breaking news.
big Grizzlies news. Desmond Bane out with a sprained big toe for 2 to 3 weeks right now, just announced. So I've never heard of that injury before, but I guess of all the things you could have injured, your big toe is not at the bottom of the list.
Oh, no, that's bad, though.
Oh, really?
That takes a long time to heal. If you've ever, turf toe, I hope this isn't turf toe, but that's really hard to overcome. That's a tough break. So, no Bane. Zion's not playing tonight, I don't think. So that showdown, I meant to say the Grizz and the Pels. By the way, Zion has owned Ja. I think he's 4-0 against the Grizz and Ja. That was supposed to be a showdown tonight. I just saw, I think Zion is out. But you know who's questionable, up from doubtful?
Who's that? Ja Morant.
That would be Triple J. I think Ja's playing.
I believe he is.
I think Ja's playing. Now that Bane's out, I'm sure he's going to play. Crazy. The NBA's got so many early injuries. Look, the Tigers are kind of the same way. I mean, no Davis, Dandridge, and Alo, I think also McCadden, they didn't practice a lot this week. So, you know what? I'm starting to think that because college basketball and the NBA, they work out all the time. They never rest their bodies. That's a part of the injury problems that we have. So that's the breaking news. Not good.
Tough
Bang out for 2 to 3 weeks with a bad big toe. This portion of the show brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. That's Matt Eflin. He's the boss. He's got a great team that includes Grant, Andrew, Heath. These are guys that care about protecting you. That's the way they work. They collaborate with you to figure out how best to protect whatever assets you have. If it's your family, they get to know them. Then they'll figure out, with your budget constraints, what's the best way to insure you for your home or your auto or life insurance. And if you've got a business, commercial insurance, particularly small to mid-sized businesses, that's their specialty. Look, Greg, Matt, everybody sits down with you, and they will figure out what your forecasted business is going to be like. I mean, they think ahead. They will figure out the best way to protect you. All you got to do is call 901-386-4777. By the way, that spells out GUR because they're big Tiger fans. Get protected the right way. Get to know your insurance protector. Collaborate. 901-386-4777. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. We go to Indy in a minute. We talk with the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News about college basketball. Mike DeCourcy is right around the corner.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey fellas, Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and it happened October the 11th. I had my first guy ask me what he should get his wife for Christmas, and my answer was this: get her something she will appreciate and get her something she will absolutely love. Think about her likes and dislikes. You might even ask her what she wants. Then come and let us show you the finest, most beautiful jewelry in Memphis. This will be our 38th Christmas, and for many of our customers, they've been with us for every one of those 38 years. They come looking for beautiful gifts, but they also know that they will receive quality, value, and service that's unexcelled in the Memphis area. At Russell Brothers, you can play St. Nick, knowing that if you don't make the right choice, our money-back guarantee will allow her the ability to exchange her gift for one that she loves, or she gets your money back. We've helped thousands of Santas. We'd love to help you. Russell Brothers Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Be better protected this football season with an updated COVID-19 booster shot designed for recent Omicron variants. If it's been at least 2 months since your primary series or booster, schedule your updated COVID-19 booster dose at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
O'Reilly.
Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts with great deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, and more. Right now, get up to a $20 gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Sylvania bulbs. Plus, get double O Rewards points with your purchase. Prepare for the weather ahead during See Better, Drive Safer month at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Get ready for your holiday road trip in a new ride from Gossett Kia on the Pike. How about 41 MPG Highway? Get it in 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $289 a month, 36-month lease, $27.99 due at signing. Or get a thrill for real in 2023 Kia K5 LXS. $365 a month, 36-month lease, $31.99 due at signing. And if you don't see what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order you a new ride today at Gossett Kia on the Pike. And you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or shop 24/7 at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Forte PE 543,577, MSRP 22,335, K5 PG 186,690, MSRP 27,765. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 11/30/22. With approved credit, dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back. I'm in St. Louis. We spare no expense on this show. I'm in St. Louis. We're heading out of Indy to talk to the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, lead college basketball analyst Mike DeCourcy. Of course, the Tigers play the Bills, but I got to start with this. I mean, this has been already the craziest year, Mike. Louisville loses to Wright State. I think they've lost twice already. Temple beats Villanova, that was ranked, after losing to Wagner. Tennessee at home loses to Colorado. Well, actually, I believe that might have been in Nashville, where Memphis was supposed to play them at the same time last year at Bridgestone. Oregon loses to UC Irvine. And then last night, maybe the topper, Northwestern State with a Ken Palm of 352 out of 363 beats number 14 TCU. What in the world is going on with your sport, Mr. DeCourcy?
Well, it's blame it on me, absolutely. I think you have to look at all of those and see that in a majority of cases, first of all, the season is starting much earlier than it has in the past. And so teams maybe aren't as ready as they once were. You didn't even mention some of the SWAC wins over the Pac-12 in their challenge series, which was kind of cool to see because you take the high majors on the road, and sometimes they're going to struggle a little bit. And so that happened as well. So it's been really interesting. I think you look at Villanova. Villanova isn't itself. Cam Whitmore, their freshman, who was one of the top 20 freshmen in entering college basketball, is not healthy and not able to play, and so that was a big factor. Let alone Justin Moore, who won't play for we don't know how long. He hurt himself at the end of last year. I believe it was an Achilles, so we don't know when he'll play. I don't think I might have ranked Villanova 25 in my thing. Losing Jay and losing the Justin Moore or not knowing when he'll play, I don't think they're a legit top 25 team at this point. So there's that. But I think the Tennessee defeat was probably the one that surprised me the most because they weren't expecting to have an easy game. I mean, Colorado has been a legit team for under Tad Boyle for as long as he's been there. I mean, you have to, going into that game, you have to play, and they just couldn't get their offense going. And eventually, they'll come around defensively to being the oppressive force that Rick's teams usually are. But as they found out last year, you have to be better offensively in March, and they should have been better than they were when they went into the NCAA tournament and weren't able to score. They've got to be more proficient offensively if they want to succeed in the biggest games.
You mentioned earlier the SWAC success, and it just kind of popped in my head. This might have started really a bit with Deion Sanders when he started to get some big-time college football recruits to come to Jackson State. That I think there is, I don't know if the word is pride, but there's more a feeling about the HBCUs than there has ever been before. And SWAC, of course, is a league made up of historically black colleges and universities. Are we seeing a trend where maybe the SWAC and the MEAC and schools like Tennessee State, that they're going to start getting better players?
I think true, but I think one of the things is they've got really good coaches too. And I wrote about this last summer in sort of an enterprise piece that I did in July of 2021. One of the things that I don't like about college basketball, I first wrote about this 25 years ago, I think, when I was working in Memphis and doing the column for the Sporting News on the side, and coaches like Andy Stoglin at Jackson State, who had so much success there with Lindsey Hunter, and never got mentioned in any of these jobs. All of a sudden, there's an opening at a good mid-major or a high major spot, and HBCU guys never get mentioned. And I wrote about it 25 years ago, and then I was doing something. I was on a conference call, like a Zoom presentation for the Field of 68 podcast network, and some things were said that I asked a question about that to some people who worked at search firms. Why is that still the case? I mean, you've got people like Lavelle Moten at North Carolina Central, and you got Johnny Jones now, working in an HBCU, and they're very good coaches. And when these jobs open up that pay more, that are at a higher level, those coaches don't get talked about. They don't get interviewed, and it's a bad thing. It's really got to change. And I wrote that a year ago, last summer, and I thought, that's out there now, and a lot of people saw it. It got shared. Maybe we'll see a difference. Maybe Mike Jones from Norfolk State is doing such a great job. Maybe he'll get some run. Didn't happen. Nothing happened. They're still there. Mike's going to play at UCLA tonight with Norfolk State. So hopefully that'll work out. That he'll have another good year, and maybe things will change next year. But Lavelle Moten's now going in on his. I think he's on his second decade at NCCU, and he's done as good a job of building his program as anybody in the country has.
Well, nothing shocks you anymore. If Mick Cronin's team goes down at UCLA tonight, I would not be that stunned like you might have been a few years ago. All right, big game tonight for the Tigers. I think if whoever wins this game, whether it's St. Louis or it's Memphis, the Memphis is a 30 Ken Palm, St. Louis is a 38. Both are receiving votes in the AP poll. The winner of this game, I think, could, because of all the upsets, slip into the top 25 next week. What do you think happens here?
It's going to be a tough one for the Tigers. St. Louis is built to win this year. They've already gotten off to a good start with wins over Murray State and Evansville, neither of which was competitive. This is a really good, solid basketball team, and if this game were at the FedEx Forum,
you're showing your age there, Corsi.
Yes, I am. Also showing my age when I referred to Robert Jones as Mike Jones, so I apologize for that. Mike coaches elsewhere in Virginia. Robert's a good friend, and I apologize for that. But anyway, this St. Louis team is built to succeed. Javon Pickett's played a ton of college basketball. He was at Missouri for a while. I think this is the best coaching that Travis Ford has done in his career. He's really built something solid here. He did, won some games and some big games at Oklahoma State, and then he, but now at St. Louis, I think he's doing the best coaching of his career. He's got a really good, solid team, shoots the basketball well. They've got their top three scorers right now are all shooting above 40% from 3-point range. So you've got to get out and guard them. They do a great job defensively as well. I think it's a terrific game, and I'm sad that it's on the same evening as the Champions Classic where I'll be tonight because I'd like to see this game. But I got a chance to watch the Tigers last week against Vandy. I'm wondering, who is doing the scheduling for Penny? It's like, okay, now we'll climb K2, and then after that we'll climb Mount Everest, and we'll do the whole Himalayas. What's going on there?
Well, I think he decided that he wasn't getting prepared well enough with all the cupcakes at home, And so, it was the first time I want to say since 92 that Memphis opened up on the road. It's the first time they'd won a road game to open the season since 88, even before he was a player there. So I think he wants to toughen them up so they're ready for really good competition come tournament time. That's my sense.
They will be
and if you win
tough.
some of these along the way, you'll get a better seeding.
Yeah, if they do well with what they're playing, I mean, they're playing 4 majors to open the season. Nobody does that, and that's a great start. And later on comes Ole Miss and Auburn and Alabama. They're playing half the SEC West. I mean, this is just amazing what they're doing. I'll be very interested to see how this all works out for the Tigers. I like their team, and it's a really challenging non-conference schedule. I think that the only thing comparable to what they're doing is what Gonzaga does, and Gonzaga's league is while it has a few really difficult teams, St. Mary's every year, BYU, it generally is not as potent as the league in which the Tigers play.
Mike DeCourcy, enjoy your games tonight. We'll regroup next Tuesday and talk about it all.
All right, you bet, Dave. Thanks very much.
Thank you. That is Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. He's brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken knows it's a big decision. You're going to either build that dream home or you're going to renovate. And I call it renovation with innovation. He's going to take all of the modern amenities and put it in your house where you love your lot and you don't want to leave. We get that. You want the California closets. You want the island in the kitchen. You want the granite cabinets. You want everything, the new movie theater room. They've got that. He knows how to put that into where you live, or if you're looking for land, he's got it. If you're not sure how to utilize the land that maybe has been in your family that you finally want to build on, he's got all the knowledge. He really does. He's fun to talk to. Sees little details, big picture all at once. 751-1632, or go to KenGarland.com. If you're ready to make the move, he'll work with you. Call Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. I just got 2 texts, J-Mo. 2 texts from old-timers. They don't like the new Showboats logo. I haven't seen it yet. I'll reserve judgment. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Johnny Radio comes your way in just a minute. We'll see you tonight in St. Louis, and then we'll join you again tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment